And welcome back to AgriTalk at the Farm Progress Show site, Decatur, Illinois. This year's show will be August 27th, 28th, and 29th. Our Farm Progress Show preview series brought to you by Syngenta. Syngenta agronomist Blake Miller is with us, along with one of the host farmers, David Bricks, and National Events Manager for Farm Progress, Matt Youngman. Blake, we were talking, David was talking about some concerns he has with some cover crops out there and some winter annuals, actually, and talking about you got to really depend on your chemical program. You're probably getting some of those concerns, or will be very soon.
Absolutely. The conditions are somewhat exacerbated by the cool temperatures. Roundup or our touchdown, glyphosate in general, we need temperatures above 50 degrees, honestly, for that to be effectively, for the speed of kill to be satisfactory to the customer. So that's a consideration. And I think multiple modes of action is going to be critical. 2,4-D in that tank mix, there'll be some pushback from that because you have a 7-day pre-planting window to adhere to. We actually have made some solutions or recommendations around gramoxone. Substituting that works well in the cool conditions. As long as you're running an atrazine premix, we get a real nice thorough kill. So there are several options. There's quite a bit of concern around the winter annuals and the cover crops, as we mentioned before. So,
because one thing that happens when it does dry up, everything's going to happen at once in a confined period of time, and everybody in a hurry.
Yeah, and I think it's critical that economics always play into the scenario, but it's to use robust rates that will terminate the target species the first time. I don't think we're going to have an opportunity to come back or want to deal with some of these weed species in crop. In fact, there are no solutions for some of those. Mare's tail, and especially resistant mare's tail, is one of those, for example. So make sure you're coordinating with those people and doing the right things the first time.
Which has become more of an issue up into this part of the country in central and west central Illinois.
Absolutely, and we're strongly encouraging. Most of the central Illinois area has adapted foundation rates of herbicides and are breaking that resistance cycle. Now we're going to start, you'll start to hear people from academia to professionals talk about overlapping chemistries, overlapping mode of action, overlapping residuals. Brian Young's really big on that at Southern Illinois. Control these weeds before they emerge, especially we haven't been inundated today, but when Palmer pigweed, Palmer amaranth rears its ugly head in this area of the world, those strategies will be deployed. So
yeah, we keep hearing that's coming.
Absolutely. Right? There is some in west central Illinois inadvertently in some dry land corners, some small seeds that were brought out of the south. So Aaron Hager discovered that last year. So we're watching those populations closely.
You're making David Bricks nervous here, just talking. Oh boy, more weeds coming, right? So you're good though. I mean, that date. What are we talking about? May 12th, May 15th. If you can get corn in by then, you feel pretty good.
Oh, we're not going to change anything. We're going to keep everything just like we are until then. After that, of course, we do have that opportunity. I know Matt said earlier, we can go less, maturity days. So we have that option. We'd rather not, because comes less maturity, comes less yield. So, so we want to do everything we can. Hopefully, I know they're talking 60% chance of rain on Tuesday, I think already now too, next week. So, even if we're out now, we're still out 10, 12, 14 days from even being able to do anything done. So you throw a rain in next week, and that just adds to the
going to push it. And Matt, really, ever since you moved the date of the Farm Progress Show up to late August, you have kind of that dance that goes on every year to be ready in time for the show.
Well, yeah, and it sounds very scientific when you count up the GDUs and say, we're going to get to black layer by this date. Well, you're counting on a lot of things to go right. First of all, you're counting on Mother Nature to provide the heat. We look back at, was it 2009, David, that
we didn't know heat.
We had no heat. It was a cold summer all summer, and that corn was 40%. I think it was but it's the same maturity that we planted in 2009 that just smoked down to 12% moisture come showtime.
2007, yeah.
2007. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we was in that, and that was 85. We, nines when we started to push it up a little bit more, and because our first two shows, this stuff was coming out 12 and 13%, and we just we can increase that. So we did, and then 9 hit, and while we was still harvesting wet corn clear up into December. So
Right.
it wouldn't have mattered what we put out there, in 9 because had no heat.
You're counting on Mother Nature to provide what you need through the summer, in addition to what we're getting right now. And we're taking corns that are native and are bred to grow in Madison, Wisconsin, and north, and planting them in Decatur, Illinois, and exposing them to all kinds of crazy disease pressures, and the Syngenta guy could talk about all the things that it needs to keep that stuff alive here in this part of the world. So but with all that being said, all the challenges that it takes for David to have to grow a crop here for the field demonstrations, we wouldn't want to go back to having the show at the end of September, because moving it to the end of August, the week before Labor Day, allows so many more growers to come to the event. And you think about that's almost been 10 years ago that we changed the dates, and how far agriculture has come in terms of harvest date. If you tried to have the show at the end of September, we just wouldn't have anybody here. They're all in the field. Anybody that's in the business full time, in the Midwest is hopes to be in the field at the end of September.
Meanwhile, real quick, while you wait for the weather to change, what else are you working on for the Farm Progress Show?
All the background details, all the volunteer groups, and getting the map built, doing the puzzle, that kind of thing.
All right, so it'll be here before we know it. Guys, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's Blake Miller, David Bricks, and Matt Youngman. Real quick before we wrap things up, John Phipps, host of U.S. Farm Reports, with us. John, what's on your mind this cold, wintry day in April?
Mike, I couldn't help but listen to the guys on just before there. We're already starting that this year is just like, and I've heard guys talk about 93 or 2008. You have to be careful with that. Even us old guys who can go back to the 70s, if you say something like, oh, this is just like 82 or something like that, about 5 seconds later, some young guy with a smartphone has Googled and says, no, it's not. Here are the graphs and here's the data. Have you noticed that? You just can't rattle that stuff off anymore. Besides, all the years are starting to blend in.
Yes.
I think the best thing us old guys can do is, since our memories are no longer useful for any kind of evidence whatsoever, is say, I remember feeling panicked like this once before when we couldn't get in the field, but it worked out.
Right, John. Thanks a lot. John Phipps, U.S. Farm Report. Thanks for everyone here at the Farm Progress Show. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'm Mike Adams.
Listening to AgriTalk, the National Forum for Agriculture. The conversation resumes Monday. Until then, visit us online at agritalk.com.